Hello and welcome to another tutorial of the W3schools Python website tutorial. This one will go over output variables. In the previous tutorial, we looked at assigning multiple values to multiple variables in one line. And in this tutorial, again, we're going to go over output variables. So what do they mean by output variables? Output, we don't need to think too hard. This is just basically talking about how you can output the variable inside of a print function. Okay, you can output to the screen. I'll just show you because it's easier to understand if I go over the example. Okay, so we have a value, string value, awesome, and it's assigned to the variable x. We're going to print this variable along with this string. Okay, so let's run it. And we get Python is awesome. Okay, I want you to open the exercise now and just type it out. Okay, so comment out the 2 lines and then rewrite it just so you get the hang of doing this. Okay, so awesome, and then write print Python is, and then add the variable, okay, x to this string, and then run it. Just try this, okay? It'll really make it a lot easier for you to learn if you try it out. Okay, so it's working here. Python is awesome. Okay. So yeah, we already pretty much know this, but what they're showing us is that you can print out a variable. You can just take a variable and print it out inside of a function. So what else can we do here? I mean, you could, if you want, you could change this to Python is crap, right? And you'd have the output Python is crap. So this just goes to show that the variable can hold many different kinds of values, right? You could even take from the previous lesson, right? What we learned in the previous lesson, which was using multi-line, assigning multiple values to multiple variables in one line. So x, y, z, crap. Let's change this to something else. Really, really, and good. Okay. And let me, just run it quickly. Okay, I could then add y and add z. Okay, let's see what happens. We get Python is really, really good. Now, if I wanted to make this look nicer, like you want a space right between really, really and good, there's several ways you can do this. One of the ways is you could just put a space here. Okay, and a space. That's a quick way to do it. So you'd end up with Python is really, really good. Another way of doing this is if you don't want to, modify your value here in your list, you could go like this. So that would put a space between the x and the y, or really and really, and then you could add another one here. Okay. And you'd get the same result. Python is really, really good. This is probably the better way of doing it because, if you want to change this to something else, like if you don't want to have spaces in your value, then it's probably better to do it this way. Although it's a little difficult to read, but it's probably the safer way of doing it. Okay, so that is one example. So it says here, let me just read let's just move on. Okay. You can also use the plus character to add a variable to another variable. Okay, so let's try that. So notice here what's happening is you have the first line, right, which is assigning this value, this string, to x, and then another line which is assigning a different value to a different variable, and then you're adding the two variables and you're assigning them to another variable, and then you're printing just one variable, and you're getting both lines combined into one. So try that. Okay, so I want you to comment this out. Try multi-line comments. Okay, multi-line comments is a way to comment out multiple lines at once without, in one shot. So comment this out. Nothing should show up in the screen now because I've commented it out. I used 3 single quotations, or you can use 3 double quotes. It's up to you. So let's try this. So right here, you can write whatever you want. You don't have to write Python is awesome. You could write, anything. I'll just follow along with what it says. Just Z. So okay. Let's just try this. I'm not gonna add the 2 variables yet. Okay, so we're not gonna get anything, right? Because we're not printing anything. So if I print out X and I print out Y, I'm gonna get in 2 lines, right? Python is awesome. So I could go like this. I could say like that. Python is awesome if I wanted it in 1 line. Okay, and I could also, following the example that they showed us, you could go like this. You could create a new variable called Z, and you could add X and Y, and then just print Z. It's another way of doing it. Okay, so the result is the same. Let's try the next one. So here it says, for numbers, the plus character works as a mathematical operator. Okay, so let's give it a try. So here, so again, run it. Okay, then I want you to comment this out. Then type it out again. So X is equal to 5, Y is equal to 10, and print X plus Y. Run it. So we get 15, right? So the math, it worked, right? You're able to do this addition of 2 variables inside the print function. I mean, you could also just, if you didn't want to use these variables, you could just say 5 plus 10, right? Inside the print function. And you get the same result. So that's just to show you that, okay? So you can add values and then you can print them out with the print function. Let's see the next one. So it's telling us though, but you have to be careful because if you try to combine a string and a number, Python will give an error. Okay, so this won't work. You see here how the first variable is assigned the value of 5, the second value is assigned a string, John. If you try to add these, it won't work in Python. So it's giving an error here that says type error, unsupported operand types for the plus operator. Okay. So it's saying int and string. Let's run it. So yeah, unsupported operand types. So how would you fix this? So there's several ways you could fix this. One is you could just put that in double quotes, so that would make 5 a string instead of an integer. So if you run that, you end up with 5 and John. You could even put a space here to make it look nicer. That's one way of doing it. Another way is you could, if you don't want to change this into a string using quotation marks, you could cast it. So you could use the cast function str and cast the 5 value into a string, and then it should work also. So it's giving us a string 5 John. You can put a space here. You could also put the space here if you wanted to. And if you want to be sure that this 5 value is correctly casted into a string, you could use the type function from Python, and it would tell you what type of value this is. So I'm gonna write type and then print the variable x. So it's telling us that the value 5 has been cast into a string, has been properly casted into a string, because according to these type function, which tests the type of the value, it's telling us that it's of type string. I mean, I could also go like this, right? I could, let me just comment this out here. Well, actually, I'll delete this for now. You could, if you didn't want to use this cast function, you could, like we went over this already, but I just want to show you that, this is also a string. So, see? So 5 is a string. If you remove these double quotation marks, it's going to tell us that it's an integer. Okay, so that goes over that, which was you cannot add. The point of this exercise or example was that you can't add integers or numbers and strings unless if you cast it into a string, or you put it between double quotation marks or single quotation marks. Okay. So that concludes the lesson. I just want to show you one more thing. Sorry. You could also go like this. Okay. Single quotation marks work also. Okay. That's just to show you that quickly. Okay. So thank you for watching this lesson. And in the next lesson, we are going to look at global variables. Okay, so in this lesson we looked at output variables, and in the next one we're going to look at global variables. Okay, which are variables that are created outside of a function. You'll learn about this later, but this will also come in handy when you're doing Python. Thanks again for watching.